What's going on, everybody? SoCal Actual here. Happy Friday. Hope your week was good and all that good jazz. Hope all your 2A dreams came true. Hope you got that gun you've been waiting for. I honestly hope your 10-day waiting period ended too. I hope it did. If you're in Cali, you know what I'm talking about. Hopefully you got to pick up whatever you were waiting on this week and you were excited to get it. All right. So today we're going to talk about some off-roster goodness. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the off-roster handguns that I have. Just a little bit of a background about how I got them, how you can possibly get some off-roster handguns yourself, tips and tricks, things of that nature, and then we're going to talk about the guns a little bit themselves. So before we start, let's go ahead and kind of introduce everything and then we'll clear it. So to start off, we have my Beretta M9A4. Magazine is empty. Firearm is empty. Okay, that's clear. Oop. All right, next we have my Glock 19X. Magazine is empty. Weapon is clear. All right. And then finally we have the SIG M17 or the P320. Mag's empty with that. Clear, nothing going on but the rent. All right, let's talk a little bit about these. Let me go ahead and decock this here. All right, so just a little bit of background about off-roster stuff. So if you're new to California or you're just kind of getting into firearms, we do have a roster of approved handguns that are legal for sale in California. So guns that are not on that roster are what we call off-roster handguns. I don't know why I just did quotes. Excuse me for that. Anyway, they're called off-roster handguns. So, when you go to your local Turners or whatever, your local FFL, your private FFL, wherever you go to purchase your firearms, you can go in there and you see some of the things on there and you see kind of the same stuff like Generation 3 Glocks, CZs, a couple of Berettas, a couple of Smith & Wessons, but any of the new stuff like the M9A4, Glock 19, X, any other Gen 5 stuff, Gen 4, Gen 5 stuff, and the SIG P320s are technically off roster because they weren't approved on that list by the California DOJ. Now, one caveat is the SIG P320 is actually on roster now. First, we got like the single shot ones, and then they officially put the P320 on there with the M18. However, to my knowledge, the M17, which is the longer slide version, is still not on the roster. So this is still considered an off-roster handgun. All right, the 19X is not on the roster and the M9A4 is not on the roster. From what I'm hearing, Glock has no intentions at all of bringing any Gen 5 or Gen 4 or Gen 5 stuff to the roster. So GG's with that. Beretta, I don't know what Beretta's doing. I have no idea. I love Beretta though. This is my third Beretta, third one I featured on the channel. So whatever. So the reason why I have these particular off-roster handguns besides any other off-road handguns, if you remember from some of my videos, I do like collecting firearms that have a little bit more of a military background to them. And these firearms, or versions of these firearms, were presented to the Army for a trial to select a new handgun that would replace the M9. This one in particular was not, because it was the M9A3. And the difference between the A3 and the A4, this is the A4, this has an area for you to put an optic on. The A3 does not. But I think other than that, I think they might be a little bit different. Don't quote me on it. Look it up. The 19X was presented as well up against the Beretta and the M17 or the P320. And, also the P320, which we know actually won the... They won the contract for the Army, so all the Army is getting M17s and M18s. Now, my personal opinions on it, if it was up to me, just based on how these feel, how they shoot and all that stuff, if I had to pick, I'd be in between these. It'd be in between these for me, and I would probably give a slight edge to the M9A3 that they were looking at. Only because we already had Berettas, so they're familiar. The The new slimmer grip is much easier to grip and hold. It feels way more comfortable. The rail's really nice accessory rail, and I think it would have just been a easier transition for me. That's what I would have chose. In second place, easily would have chosen 19X. I mean, there was something to be said about it not being modular enough, but it does have different grip panels it comes with in the back, so you can fit it to different hands, and it feels good. The only thing I've never really liked that much about Glocks is that angle that you have to point at. You have to kind of have a little bit of a tilt in your wrist to get that straight, to get that sight radius down. But other than that, I like this a lot. Now they chose the P320. You're gonna hear varying opinions on why they chose it. Some people were saying because it's way more modular. I think the majority of us who kind of looked this stuff up felt like they chose it because it was cheaper. The package was cheaper overall versus what Glock had with the 19X. But I've expressed this in my SIG MK25 video that I don't like this handgun that much. I just don't think it's that great. It feels good. It shoots fine. Like it's okay, but I'm just not too much of a fan of it. So I'm gonna say, so why do you have it? Because it was in the trial. That's why I have it. I'm like I always said, I'm more of a collector. So I'm gonna have it, but I also don't have to like it that much. I don't have to like it that much. So that's just my quick opinion on those. Now, let's go kind of, I guess, front to back on these. So yeah, this was kind of like a grail gun for me. Like as soon as I saw the M9A3, I knew I wanted one, but it was just you can't get these in California unless you do some things. Now, how does one go about getting off roster handguns like the ones we have on the table? Well, couple of ways here. So I would say the easiest way is to just buy handguns private party through a private party transfer. Somewhere, people get the off-roster handguns, they bring them into the state, however they do that, and they sell them privately. You can purchase them. Now, because you're in California and, everything's expensive here, you're going to pay an insane amount of money to get off-roster private party stuff. You're just going to pay ridiculously to purchase these. So retail on the M9A4 is around $900. It was kind of what they're selling for. I'd probably expect one to pay closer to, I would probably say $1,400, $1,500, $1,600 in California for this. For the 19X, I think right now street price is around maybe like $550 or so. You're probably looking at around $900 to $1,000 for a 19X in California. Bring that closer to the camera here. Sorry, I didn't give you guys the Beretta. There you go. You check that out. All right, and for the M17, and again, I know the M18 is on the roster, so you can just pay whatever the price is. But for the M17, you're probably looking at around maybe $700, $800, $900 if you're buying it privately. So, all right, so that's the easiest way to purchase them private party, and you can go to various areas, forums, things like that to find those. Or I know a lot of gun FFLs and gun stores have like private sale areas, like consignment areas, and you can purchase them that way there. The second one, which is difficult, for some people, maybe not for other people, is to become law enforcement. Just become California law enforcement, and then you're able to buy off-roster firearms for yourself. I'm not a lawyer, and this is legal. This is not a legal advice, but you're allowed to buy them for yourself. Yes. Or, if you have buddies who are law enforcement and they don't want their firearms any longer and they're thinking about selling them, you can purchase from them through a private party transfer. All right. So the last way that I know, at least, to get off-roster firearms is to have family in other states where these firearms are allowed, which is, pretty much every other freaking state, basically, and have them gift them to you. Not buy them for you, not, do anything like that illegal. Gift them to you. So they have a firearm, they don't want it anymore, and they, want to gift it to you. That's called intrafamiliar transfer. And those work up and down. So that means your mother or your father, or if you have kids who are old enough to buy firearms, your son, your daughter, they can gift you a firearm. I happen to have family elsewhere, so that's how I was able to, procure these off roster firearms. So that's probably the hardest way if you don't have any family outside of California. But yeah, if you do, consider yourself very lucky if you have family that live in free states and, like you enough to want to gift you some firearms. So not everyone is as fortunate as I am. So I really do. I don't take that for granted. And I appreciate the family members who do that for me. So they know I'm like kind of big in the firearm. So they sent me these as gifts. So that's how you can kind of get, into the off roster stuff and how I got my off roster stuff. All right. So yeah. What else do we have to say about these? Oh, so I just guess I'll give my ginger thoughts on these. I've shot all of these multiple times. I do keep them clean because they're a little bit more of a safe queen. Well, actually, this is a little bit more of a safe queen. Oh, one caveat I totally forgot to mention with the M9A4. So if you notice here, the barrel is black. Now, if you outside of California, if you purchase outside of California in other states that have like assault weapon bans and don't allow threaded barrels, if you buy an M9A4, it comes with a threaded barrel. All of them do. I don't believe they make it standard with a non-threaded barrel. I could be wrong about that, but in my research, I have not seen them with non-threaded barrels. So in order for me to get this, I had to and have it brought into California without the threaded barrel. So I had to have the barrel replaced. So this is just a normal 9mm 92 FS series barrel. They're interchangeable. I could throw this barrel on my M9A1. I could also throw it on my commercial M9, which is awesome. So I purchased a separate barrel and didn't bring the threaded barrel in. That's why this is now California, legal to have. If the threaded barrel remained on here, this would be considered an assault weapon, and this would not be legal to own in California. So just note, if you're going the off roster way and you're getting something sent into California and it has a threaded barrel as a pistol, you're going to want to replace that. I don't know if you can pin and weld threaded barrels on pistols. I'm not certain. Maybe that is something that can happen. So you might want to look into that as well. But other than that, this thing takes standard M9, 92 series magazines. I think the slides are even interchangeable too. They're just so interchangeable, all the M9 series stuff. So yeah, out of all these three, I would probably say this is my favorite, not to shoot, but just kind of just favorite, because I'm really just a super fan of single action, double action, hammer fired firearms. Like that's just the bread and butter. And the double action trigger on this is incredibly smooth. The best double action trigger I've felt on a handgun. And the single action is just butter. Yep, love this. 19X, love it as well. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a Glock. It's a Glock. And if you're not a fan of the peanut butter, as they call it, or the FDE, whatever, color, you just but you like the Glock 17 grip length, but the 19 slide length, just get a 45. I think they're the same. They're basically the same thing. The M17, yeah, it's a SIG. That's cool. I guess it's all right. I don't know. I might do something with this. I might get an optic. I might change actually, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna keep this stock, like I said before, but maybe I might do an optic. That might be the most I'll kind of do with this. But if not, I don't know. I just find this to be an incredibly boring, not exciting firearm. Like it doesn't look that great. Like in comparison to the 19X. Bring these closer here. It just doesn't look as good. It damn sure doesn't look as good as the M9. Like, and never in a million years could it attempt to be something like this. But that's fine. That's not what it's for. It's just a striker fired, half polymer, half metal gun that's supposed to be for military use, and commercial use and civilian use. So it's fine. But for strikers, I'm always going to be a Glock fan for sure. Even though I say that all to say I shoot this way better than I shoot the 19X. That's number one. The angle just feels way better, and I think I can just maneuver the trigger a little bit better on this. It just, yeah. But just because something shoots well doesn't mean you have to like it. But yeah, so, just wanted to kind of dip a little bit into my off-roster collection. Probably name this like FDE Friday or something like that. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Also, I'd really love to know in the comments, what do you guys think about the military's decision to go with the M17? What would have what would you have picked? Would you have gone with the 19X or the M9A3/A4? Which one would you have chosen? That would be an interesting conversation. There's plenty of videos on it, but I'm talking about from a California person's perspective. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope everything else is going well. Hope you're, staying fit, staying healthy, staying mentally healthy as well. We got to talk more about mental health. It's, it's a lot going on right now, but make sure you're finding your peace. You're doing whatever you need to do to stay, mentally healthy, taking breaks, taking days off from work, not working so hard, going out with your family, eating well, having a good time, having fun, going to the range. The range is a really nice stress reliever for me. So I like to go as much as I can. So just make sure you guys are taking care of yourselves and your family. All right. So until next time, so Coaxial, I appreciate everyone for stopping by. Thank you for checking out everything so far, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.